Hey guys, welcome to today's tutorial, which is on making these paper palms for your cakes. Probably the cheapest yet most effective topper you will ever make. Firstly, I'm using A4 coloured paper and I'm just folding my first piece across the centre. And then taking my scissors and cutting out this slope shape. You'll see I'm not using any kind of templates because I'm going to show you how each shape will end up looking at the end. Once you open this up, it looks like a little tunnel. I'm going to start from the bottom, folding very thin pieces. I find your palms look better when they have more pleats in, but feel free to play around with the sizes of yours. You just want to work your way up the paper, folding it back on itself until you have none left. Then you just fold this in half across where your crease line was and it creates this little palm spear shape. Cutting different shapes at the beginning is what affects the different shapes of your spears. You can either leave it like this or snip down every other crease into a V, cutting out little triangles and giving your palm some spiky leaves. You can see the two different looks you can create by not cutting it or cutting in the spikes. Once you're happy with your shape, you just want to take a kebab stick and thread it right up through the centre of your palm. A little hole punch would be perfect here, otherwise it can take quite a while to thread each one through like I am. Then you just want to glue the inner centre, and feel free to use a Pritt stick if you prefer. I just find hot glue a bit faster and more secure. Then squash your palm together and you can hold the very centre pieces with these tiny little clips. You can see your palm can change shape just by pulling it out and stretching it, or pinching at the base to make it smaller. Pop that to one side to dry whilst we work on our second palm. Same again, I'm going to fold this A4 piece of paper in half, this is just a blue one, and we're going to cut a similar arch shape but a lot wider. This creates a much wider tunnel shape once it's opened up. Same again, start from the bottom, starting with a thin fold and work your way all the way up until you're at the top. As these pieces of paper literally cost a few pence, you can certainly have a play with all the different shapes to see what comes out, and even make your own templates once you find a shape that you really like and you want to replicate in the future. This one has created more of a paddle shape, but I wanted to show you how it looks if you try to cut it after making your shape. I'm just taking my scissors and I'm hacking across the top to make it more of a spear shape, and you'll see what you end up creating is more of a realistic palm, as a lot of the dried palms can have rough broken edges, so this is a great way to make them look a little bit more realistic, especially if you use cream paper instead of blue. These are much more rustic looking. Again, I'm just sliding my kebab stick through the centre, adding my glue, and then holding that centre strip together with my clips until it dries, which won't take very long at all. Our last palm is one of my favourite shapes, but this time we're starting with the paper flat and folding from the bottom all the way to the top. We're then going to open it back up and flatten it just a little bit to make it easier for us to fold this in half lengthways. Once you've done that, we're going to cut a similar shape again, but a much taller, longer one, sloping towards the centre. We are doing the same again by cutting out those triangles to make spiky leaves. Once you open it up, you have a funky little almost Christmas tree shape, and folding this will now be much easier as you already pre-folded it and you're just gathering it all back up. Now we're just going to do the same thing again, folding it in the middle, and you'll see it creates this spiky open palm. I'm just going to trim the centre ones where they meet to make sure it's uniformed. This is one of my favourite palm shapes. I just think it's really cute. Then you just want to thread your kebab stick up the centre again, glue the centre leaf and stick them together using your little clips. Once they've all set and dried, you're able to pull your palm into whatever shape you like, gluing them or binding them around the bottom to make them smaller, or pulling them open to make them wider. I found using these A4 pieces of paper make a really nice sized palm for your cakes, but if you do want to go larger, you'll need slightly larger pieces of paper. Now these are perfectly fine to use as they are, but to add a little bit more depth to them and make them look like those real coloured palms, I'm actually going to airbrush one. Yes, I've taken purple airbrush colour and I'm just circling around the centre of my palm leaf. I'm using my regular food airbrush colour because that's what I have the most colour range of. You can of course use any sort of craft airbrush colour, and all the different sprays, they don't have to be specifically for food, but it does help when you're placing them on your cake. And we'll probably have more colours of food colouring than anything else. I'm just adding that deep purple ombre to the centre, and for the pink I'm using pink airbrush colour. However, it is very similar to the colour of the paper, but it's still worth doing as they look far more realistic or designed than the plain ones. For the blue, I haven't actually filled my airbrush colour with blue, I'm just going straight in with the pink, which is turning a slightly purplish colour on our blue paper, just to show you what different effects you can get. To take it one step further, I've got this can of silver PME luster spray. Again, you can get craft ones which are much brighter, it's just that I don't own any of those, I own more cake stuff. This spray will give you an almost gunmetal grey sort of sheen. You can't really see it much on camera, but it does look brighter in real life, and you can just see the shimmer as I twist it back and forth. Another option for silver tipped palms is this food-based luster. I've just mixed it with my trusty lemon extract and I'm painting the very tips of the spikes and dragging the rest of the colour slightly down the palm as my brush gets a little bit drier. This gives a much higher shine, and of course you can always use gold and other coloured lusters, or again those craft sprays. I just think these look a lot better than the plain paper versions, but there's nothing stopping you from using those. You can pick up packs of coloured paper from pretty much anywhere, super cheap in the pound shops. And this is why it makes an incredibly cheap but large space filler. They are super effective, and you can have a play around with the different shapes and different colours to see what you can create. They are lightweight, they are bendable, especially if you need to squeeze them up against the side of a tier. They don't snap like real palms or the paste versions, and they cost about 3p to make. Hope you enjoyed this one. Stick around by hitting the subscribe button to see me make this cake that the palms are featured on, and I'll see you again in a bit. Bye guys.